How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. You won't believe what Jay Jacobs, the U.S. head of equity ETFs at Blackrock, just said about Ethereum and crypto. They're kind of flipping. They're focusing, it seems like, on Ethereum right now, but at the same time, they're pulling in massive amounts of Ethereum and Bitcoin. We have a massive catalyst coming up. IBIT is actually number one in weekly flows among all ETFs, which is just insane. I also want to show you something that's happening in the greater market of crypto and the traditional market as well. We have Jerome Powell speaking tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. That should be interesting. And then one of the major banks predicting this bull run's actually going to go much later than most people expected or expect. And we have a CEO giving us a peek behind the curtain as to how much Bitcoin the US actually has, and also whether they're going to accumulate more Bitcoin or not. Are they focusing on it? So if you don't mind, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. If you haven't already started trading crypto, check out BYDeFi underneath the video. Right now we just have a little bit less than a day where you can still get some of these prizes, up to $13,000 in bonuses, but we'll constantly run these in the future too. And if you sign up now, everyone that ever signs up has access to these trading competitions, these trading giveaways. So it's not like, you have to wait until the next one starts at the beginning to be able to be part of it. No, we constantly run these for everyone that's ever signed up through my link, and you can make really good returns while using leverage. Of course, make sure you understand what you're doing, but I've been able to make life-changing amounts of money this cycle, and I think you can too. Now, Bitcoin still facing rejection at 126,000. We are seeing a bit of a green day. It looks like we're just consolidating around 121 to 123 on Bitcoin. The traditional markets are green, with the Nasdaq up almost 1% once again, nearing all-time highs. The S&P 500 nearing all-time highs, up 0.6% today. Silver exceeding $49 per ounce for the first time since 2011, up 65% year to date. Gold futures are rapidly approaching $4,100 per ounce just after breaking 4,000. All hard assets continue to hit all-time highs, so even this little pullback for Bitcoin, I would not be too worried about it. Right now, the markets just continue to race up. The Fed has signaled that they want to continue to lower rates, so assets should continue to go up in price, good quality assets. Publicly traded Bit Digital bought another 31,000 Ethereum worth $139 million. There's so many companies just acquiring Bitcoin left and right and acquiring Ethereum, Solana. It seems to continue to happen, and I think it's only going to be easier as the government becomes more and more pro-crypto. It'll be easier and easier for companies to get their shareholders on board with acquiring these assets. Not only are companies buying, but we had another massive day for ETFs. Nearly $900 million bought from Blackrock, $900 million worth of Bitcoin. They are 1 day delayed, so you can see like they had a red day when everyone else started to have green days, or they started to have inflows. And yesterday was pretty much a nothing day for the rest of the ETF, so don't be surprised if we see a pretty small inflow number, right? BlackRock's always a day behind, so don't be surprised if we see a small day from BlackRock today. But still, they've acquired, just this week alone, in the first 2 days, they've acquired nearly $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. The Ethereum ETFs had a good day as well, with 437.5 million coming into ETHA, which is the BlackRock Ethereum ETF. So nearly $500 million. This is actually the second best day I believe they've ever had for ETHA. BlackRock is near 800,000 Bitcoin. 800,000. What is that? Nearly 4% of the supply. And they've done this in a year and a half. Now, of course, some people have sold their own Bitcoin to put it into BlackRock or to then go buy BlackRock because they don't want to custody it themselves. But still, a lot of this is new money. That's incredible. And it seems like it's going to continue, right? We've had these slowdown periods and then massive increases still. IBIT is now number one in weekly flows among all ETFs with 3.5 billion, which is 10% of all net flows into ETFs. Also notable is the rest of the 11 OG spot Bitcoin ETFs all took in cash in the past week. Even GBTC somehow, that's how hungry the fish are. 2 steps forward, mode. So yeah, they are just incredible, right? BlackRock's IBIT ETF. Not only are they number one, they're $1 billion above anyone else. They're like 1.5 times what's been pulled in by VOO this week. So this, I think, will continue. Of course, we haven't even gotten to the point where 401ks are starting to acquire Bitcoin as well, but that will obviously increase the amount of buying pressure on Bitcoin. Let's play what BlackRock just said. This is Jay Jacobs, the head of equity ETFs at BlackRock.
Yeah, this administration has been widely supportive of crypto. Jay, what are your thoughts on the best way to play this?
Well, I think a lot of what you've been saying, the rise of stablecoins, the rise of tokenization, and more enthusiasm around blockchain technologies, that often leads back to Ethereum. So there's a big difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is really this global monetary alternative, more similar in vein to the gold story. But Ethereum is really a bet on blockchain technology and other ways to use it through things like stablecoins and tokenization. So this enthusiasm has really trickled through to a lot of interest and flows into our ETH ETF, which is a spot Ethereum ETF, as people want to play this potentially very disruptive theme.
Now, I said that you're not going to believe what they said. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. They're pushing their ETF, right? I've said this, I've said it once, I've said it 50 times, that they want this to do well. They're going to push clients to buy Ether. They're going to push them to buy like Solana in the future. I think they're going to have a Solana ETF. And Wall Street loves staking. They love the idea of a 3 or 4% dividend yield. This could be a huge moneymaker for them. And this will bring in a lot of capital. I mean, you look at IBIT, and it's already their most profitable ETF. It's got the largest inflows of any ETF in the world right now. And it's consistently one of the highest in inflows, right? This is with Bitcoin at $125,000. Imagine when Bitcoin's $500,000. This is going to be a massive profit driver for them. This is going to be their golden goose. They want the same thing to happen with Ethereum. They want Ethereum to do well. They want Bitcoin to do well. They're going to continue pushing it and talking about how great these blockchain technologies are. And they're going to continue to drive billions and billions of dollars to buy Ethereum and Bitcoin. It just makes sense. Who was it that said, it was Charlie Munger, I think, or maybe it was Warren Buffett. Show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome, right? The incentives are BlackRock and Fidelity are going to make massive amounts of money and profit from these ETFs. So I'll show you the outcome. They're going to continue to get billions of dollars in inflows. It's not just them either. The New York Stock Exchange parent company, ICE Markets, is taking a $2 billion stake in Polymarket, valuing the prediction market around $9 billion. The S&P 500, or the S&P, right, the company behind S&P 500, is set to launch the S&P Digital Markets 50, a new index combining 15 cryptocurrencies and 35 crypto-related stocks. Everyone wants a piece right now. Everyone wants a piece of crypto. And that's going to continue to drive more and more buying. Keep in mind, there can be a little bit of volatility along the way. Jerome Powell is going to speak tomorrow, even during the government shutdown. So we can have some extra volatility. Obviously, we are expecting rate cuts at the following meetings. I think their next meeting is this month, late this month. Don't be surprised if he seems a little bit hawkish. If he doesn't seem like they're certain that they're going to cut rates. The reason for that, we continue to see equities race to all-time highs. He doesn't want inflation to get out of hand, so he's going to try to talk down the markets, in my opinion. So don't be surprised if the market reacts a little bit negatively to him speaking. Let's play this too. This is Citibank predicting that Bitcoin will continue to run through 2026.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think going into late 26, your forecast for Bitcoin and Ether are pretty good, yes?
Not mine, but our team's. Yeah. So we're looking for continued follow through there. It kind of comes back to your discussion earlier on how to think about your alts in terms of gold and crypto. And I think your commentary is spot on there. I mean, I think we just have to allow that. You have a very aggressive momentum driven equity market, and so I think people don't want to miss that. So you're looking for your hedging opportunity, and the way we see it, in addition to central bank buying, as you mentioned, I think that those two asset classes become hedges of choice as you're trying to navigate this ongoing strength, highly valued but momentum-driven equity market.
Yeah, I agree that we could continue to see a bull market that goes further than people expect, but also you have to be a little bit careful because that's what people think every cycle. I thought this was very fascinating too. This is the CEO of CleanSpark, one of the biggest Bitcoin miners in the world, and I think they recently transitioned to also focus on AI. He said, just finished a small dinner with Secretary Bessent and Chairman Scott. We talked about the market structure bill. We talked about the economy. And stay with me here because this has to do with Bitcoin specifically. He says something that's important in here. We talked about the 11 finalists for the chairman of the Fed, and we talked about the strategic Bitcoin reserve. The U.S. holds about $17 billion of Bitcoin and will not sell and plans to continue to accumulate. Okay, this is important because there has been some back and forth with how much Bitcoin they actually hold, whether Biden got rid of a bunch of the Bitcoin before he left office. So they hold about $17 billion. That's not a huge amount, right? You look at the assets that the U.S. has. That's peanuts. I mean, there's a company, MicroStrategy, that was worth $1 billion that owns multiples of what the U.S. holds, right? And they're worth $1 billion during the bear market. Now, they hold $80 billion or so of Bitcoin. So this is not a ton. They plan to accumulate as well. Okay, they haven't really given us any plan on how they want to accumulate Bitcoin. They haven't really explained how they're going to do that. They've said budget neutral ways, but it sounds like what we've heard before, it's just going to be forfeiture or just from like taking it from criminals. So I'm curious how they're really going to accumulate, if they're going to do anything besides that. Matt says, those things were cool. What's cooler? Being at the table, being in the room, talking about land, power, sovereign AI, talking about Bitcoin. The actual Secretary of the Treasury of the United States of America and the Chairman of the Banking Committee care enough about what we do to sit down and talk about how they can help. We're so early, but we're about to arrive. No other crypto or AI folks were there. TikTok. Now, CleanSpark has been on a monster run. You know, even just on this talk, it's up 4% today. It was up even more. It's down 5% from its high just a few hours ago. But over the last 6 months, up nearly 200%, year to date 100%. Since the bomb of the bear market, it's up about 10x. Actually, one of my good friends bought a significant amount of it. I don't know if you've heard of Connor Kenny, but he bought a lot of it, a significant amount, then sold almost all of it, I think somewhere back here towards the peak, then bought back around $6 or so. He's basically made a 10x on it, and he didn't time the bottom perfectly. So yeah, there have been a lot of people that have made a lot of money. Obviously, it's very volatile. It's still setting lower macro highs compared to 2021 when it went up to $40. So would love to see it come back up. Would love to see everyone make money. To be clear, I don't hold CleanSpark anymore. I just went more pure play and just bought Bitcoin this cycle. But yeah, congrats to everyone that's been making money. It's incredible how much money you can make during a bull run. Now, if you want to go more risk on, but you don't want to buy a bunch of different assets and have to pay attention to balance sheets and listen to conference calls, or if you don't want to buy, a bunch of small cryptos that are usually rug pulled, you can check out BYDFi. You can start trading on leverage. With a small portion of your portfolio. That's why I do, at least. Of course, do your own due diligence. Make sure you understand the risks. I really do appreciate you all watching. Let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video, and I'll see you in the next one.